Everybody went silent except Gary fumbling with papers.
Can you hear that? Can you hear that?
Knock
Yes.
the papers off, Gary.
Okay, I'm done.
Everybody went silent except Gary fumbling with papers.
Can you hear that?
Knock
Yes.
the papers off, Gary.
Hey, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to mute. I've muted myself.
What are you doing? Oh my God, I got two of them now. Come here, rat woman. Say
See,
hi.
now you can't hear my papers now. I muted myself.
Say hi. There's my other kitty. Okay, get down. You be a good girl.
Ten, 9, 8.
I have 6:58. I don't know what time you guys have.
That's what I have too.
Okay.
Yep.
Me too.
Anybody start their gardens early and have to cover their whole yard last night when it was 32 degrees?
All I have is rocks, so I didn't have a problem with that.
Well, I always plant way too early, and I had to cover my whole garden. So it took me about 20 minutes. I always think I get a head start on everybody else, which will happen in the next, after the next 2 days. The low temperature goes to 41 at night for the next 10 days. So I think we're almost there.
That's perfect for a long run, Pete.
Yeah, there you go.
Now you should wait till after Mother's Day.
Oh, yes.
The general rule of thumb.
I need to make sure.
Hi, Mike.
How you doing this evening?
Good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Okay, guys, I'm going to go ahead and start the meeting. And first off, I'll call the meeting to order. And first item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mayor,
Councilman Shuttrin.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Shuttrin, and I heard Councilman Zimmerman first on the second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. So the first items on the agenda are 3 proclamations. So I'm going to take these in order and read them. First off is Arbor Day proclamation. Whereas Arbor Day has contributed to the public's awareness of the importance of trees, and whereas the National Arbor Day Foundation has been a leader in the promotion of education and the importance of planting of trees in communities across America, and whereas trees provide city dwellers with many comforts and pleasures, such as providing shade, cleaning our air, providing beauty, buffering harsh urban sounds, providing shelter from winter winds, and providing shelter for wildlife, and increasing property values. And whereas an official Arbor Day proclamation is one of the 4 requirements by the National Arbor Day Foundation for a community to meet certification as a Tree City USA, Green River has been recognized by the Arbor Foundation as Tree City USA. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Pete Russ, Mayor of the City of Green River, do hereby designate Saturday, May 9th, 2020 as Arbor Day in the City of Green River, and encourage all citizens to actively support tree planting and protection as a means to improve our community and the quality of our lives. I think I'll there's a couple more sentences, but I think I'll recognize Brad Rainey and he can talk about this a little bit if he's out.
I'm here. Thanks, Mayor and Council. Brad Rainey, Parks and Recreation Director. I get this glare. My head's super shiny tonight. I just wanted to recognize the efforts of our tree board. It consists of 2 volunteers that put in a lot of work to plan a great event this year. Obviously, we're not going to be able to hold the event this year due to the situation right now, but we have arranged to have some of the sapling trees that we give out at Arbor Day. They'll be available at Ace Hardware in front of the store for people to take for free. And there'll be some information about each species that we have there. I believe that's 9 to 3. Is that what it says on there, Mayor, on the proclamation?
Yes, it is.
That we'll have it at 9 to 3. And typically with Arbor Day, we hold it at a park. We were going to hold it at Riverside Memorial Park. We do a tree planting with usually the Girl Scouts and some volunteers. We're going to proceed with the tree planting. So we're going to plant 10 trees at the park. Just staff though, no gathering, but just wanted to let you know that we're still going to go ahead with a lot of the activities of Arbor Day, just no gathering this year. So thank you for the time. And if anybody has any questions.
Does anybody have any questions of Brad or any comments?
What kind of trees do you have, Brad?
Oh man, I'm at home right now. Like I can't remember.
Uh-oh.
I can't remember off the top of my head. So I can send the list. Our tree board's putting out a press release that'll have it. What they have. They have it listed on there for the public to see.
Okay, great. It's always a good event and people really appreciate, being able to get the trees. So kudos to you guys for doing it in the way that we're able to do it under the COVID-19 restrictions. Okay, anybody have any questions or comments from Brad? For Brad? Okay. The next proclamation, excuse me, is National Police Week. Whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day and the week in which it falls as Police Week. And whereas the members of the Green River Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Green River, and whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, the duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our police department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas the Green River Police Department has grown to be a modern and scientific law enforcement agency, which unceasingly provides a vital public service, now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Pete Russ, call upon all citizens to observe the week of May 10th through the 16th as Police Week by commemorating and thanking our police officers, past and present, who by their faithful and loyal devotion to their responsibilities have rendered a dedicated service to their communities and, in doing so, have established for themselves an enviable and enduring reputation for preserving the rights and security of all citizens. I further call upon all citizens to observe May 15th, which is a week from Friday, as Peace Officers Memorial Day, to honor those peace officers who through their courageous deeds have lost their lives or have become disabled in the performance of their duty. Is Chief Jarvie out there? I don't know if he wants to make any comments.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council, for that proclamation. I'm definitely very proud of the men and women of our department. This year particularly, they've been selfless and without complaint, going about still serving the public when everything else is closed or shut down, and as they do all the time. And so we really appreciate the recognition for them. It's a special, tough year nationwide because there's a lot of people, a lot of officers who we've lost over the year that we're not going to be able to honor during Police Week like we normally do. So our thoughts go out to those families And also this year, I'd like to just look to the other first responders that go to these scenes with us, fire and EMS that are there all the time. This is kind of a strange situation where we're not necessarily the ones going in, checking, make sure the scene's safe. In this case, we're a lot of times behind the ambulance that's going in and doing that. And so we appreciate the teamwork we've been able to have this year.
Thanks, Chief. Does anybody have any comments, questions? Okay, I mean, certainly on behalf of the council and our citizens, Chief, we want you to express our gratitude to the police department for all that you guys do, because we're very much aware of how lucky we are. Okay. And finally, this is the Gary and Pete Month proclamation. This is Older Americans Month proclamation. Whereas Green River includes a community of older Americans who deserve recognition for their contributions to our nation, and whereas our community recognizes that older adults are trailblazers, advocating for themselves, their peers, and their communities, paving the way for future generations, and whereas our community is committed to raising awareness about issues facing older Americans and helping all individuals to thrive in communities of their choice for as long as possible, and whereas our community appreciates the value of inclusion and support in helping older adults successfully contribute to and benefit from their community, and whereas our community can encourage older adults to connect, create, and contribute. Connect with friends, family, and services that support participation. Create by engaging in activities that promote learning, health, and personal enrichment, and contribute time, talent, and life experience to benefit others. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Pete Rust, do hereby proclaim May 2020 to be Older Americans Month, and I urge every resident to take time this month to celebrate older adults and the people who serve and support them as powerful and vital individuals who greatly contribute to the community. Any comments from council?
Mayor?
Yes.
Pete, Gary, we appreciate you.
Thank you, Councilman Byrd. Okay, any other comments? Okay, if not, we'll move on. There are no citizen requests or other communications, is my understanding, that have been brought forth or called in. So we'll move on to resolutions. Consideration of a resolution modifying the general fund budget in the Police Department Patrol Division. I'm going to read this first part, and then, or Chief, do you want to just take over?
I can. It'd probably be just as fast that way.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a resolution to bring money from the seizure account into the regular budget so that we can use it to purchase new rifles for the patrol division. Our patrol rifles are well over 10, I think around 15 years old, and just to have enough bullets go through them, they need to be replaced. And so in doing so, instead of trying to tax the budget right now, we decided to use the seizure funds that are available to us to make that. And just as a reminder, these are seizure funds from drug cases that have been worked. The seizure work was done by the Attorney General's office on behalf of the department. And then our portion of that was shared to us, and that can only be used for non-normal budget police expenses.
Okay, thank you, Chief. Does anybody have any questions or comments to the Chief? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor,
Councilman Byrd.
I move to approve the resolution modifying the general fund budget for the Police Department Patrol Division for the purchase of new rifles in the amount of $25,156.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Byrd, seconded by Councilman Kilpack. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. Item 7, council action items. Consideration to award the 2020 slurry seal project to Intermountain Slurry Seal. I'm assuming Mark Westonskill's out there somewhere.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Mark Westonskill, Public Works Director. Nearly every year we have on the budget line item for slurry seal project. This is a pavement preservation technique that we've used for many years. And this spring we went out for bids to do some slurry seal on some streets. This is one of many pavement preservation and pavement rehabilitation strategies that we're trying to implement, as we've talked about on our with our pavement management study. This year we received one bid. It's a company that's worked with us before, Intermountain Slurry Seal, and we have 3 streets on the list that were. One of them is 2nd South, and you may remember we did some work on 2nd South a few years ago. Slurry seal being applied to a relatively new street like that is a good practice to preserve that investment. The other streets are some that are at a stage of their life where the slurry seal will be good for them.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Does anybody have any questions or Mark? Comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor,
Councilman Chetron?
I move to award the 2020 slurry seal project to Intermountain Slurry Seal in the amount of $105,419 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Chetron and seconded by Councilwoman Mays. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? It's unanimous.
Mayor,
Yes, Councilman Kilpack.
I've got a question before we move on. When we vote, all the mics aren't unmuted. Some of the mics are still muted, so the vote's not coming through. So if anybody has their mics muted when we vote, we need to unmute them so that they can hear everybody's vote.
Okay. And I can see what you're saying, Gary. Okay, so you guys take that into consideration. Item B, consideration to approve the CWSRF loan agreement documents for the wastewater treatment plant replacement. I'm guessing this might be Mr. Westonskill again.
Mayor, Council, this is Mark Westonskill again. I actually thought Chris was going to cover this one, but I can give you a little bit of background on it until he gets here. We had applied last year for the construction portion of the loan for the wastewater treatment plant to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund through the State Land Investment Board. That loan application was approved in December at their December meeting. For $27.6 million for the construction phase. We have been operating and pursuing the design through a design loan that we received from the same body. That design loan was $2.4 million. So far, we've been running on about half of that, about $1 million. In this particular case, the design is about complete. We've had our drawings into DEQ. They've given us some comments back and we're responding to those. We're expecting that the most rapid case for us to be able to move forward would be to bid in the fall with construction beginning next year with this loan in place to provide the funding for that construction. Long term, we've been working on a rate strategy over the last several years. You remember back in 2016, we initiated a rate study that identified a cost of service strategy that would lay out a series of rate increases that would be adopted over a series of years. This year, your budget packets will represent year 5 of that study. That's what we've been going on. This is the path we've been following, and that will get us toward the completion of this project that we've been working on for several years.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Is Chris Smeets out there?
Mayor and Council, I don't have anything else to add further. This is just the signing of the documents you already approved us to go to the state to get. These are just the loan documents we have to approve.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Chris. Any questions from council?
Not really. So we're going to are we going to try to apply later for a 6 penny to help out this project in the future? Do you think, Mark?
You know, some of the early conversations about the 6 penny, when we had originally identified this project through our rate study, we had anticipated trying to get some component of a grant or some non-loan component that would help offset that and keep the rate from having to pay the full construction cost. At this point, those dollars haven't come in. We've talked about doing it as part of a 6 penny, but you know, through the whole conversation of the 6 penny, our focus had come back down to streets. Was the most recent list that we've been working with. With the delay in the 6 penny, we'll see. I guess that there would be opportunities to explore other options in the interim between now and when the project actually goes out to bid. We'll see what other options are still available to us as we continue to move forward.
So when we build it, is that $26 million, is that covering also the closures of the ponds that are out there?
So far, that 27.6 estimate covers the construction of the new plant and some contingency. The full reclamation of the ponds is going to take years. So we would expect that there would be some ongoing projects as the ponds dry out, as we're able to stop using them as they dry out. There's going to need to be some reclamation of the soil that's there. And that will be ongoing for some number of years, but those projects will be much smaller on a more regular basis.
Thank you.
That was also something we were looking to do in-house at some level as we're going through that process. The other thing that could be mentioned is, you know, that because it has a funding source and because of the roads and the importance of it, that's why we didn't have it on the original 6 penny. We have been asked by the state and through WAM about shovel-ready projects at both the federal and state level for funding purposes. And this one is one of the projects there. So we're still continuing to try to find dollars to help support the construction of this facility to help, you know, take the complete burden off of a rate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions or comments just for staff? Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
Mayor?
Councilwoman Mays.
Excuse me. I move to approve the loan agreement, promissory note, and the assignment and pledge of revenues with the State Loan and Investment Board in the amount of $27,600,000 for the wastewater treatment plant replacement project, pending legal approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Mays and I believe seconded by Councilman Shuttran. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Everybody get your mics open. Opposed? Motion carries. Item C, consideration of a memorandum of agreement with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Who's taking this one?
I can do that, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
I don't know if anybody recalls back in the early 90s when there used to be a FBI field office in Sweetwater County. It was manned by Dick Baxter, who was here for many years. had great teamwork with the Bureau at that time when we had major cases. Since shortly after he retired, they moved that office to Jackson, where it's been ever since. There's not a lot of good reason for that. Price for the office up in Jackson is high, and the crime up there really is fairly low. So the new special agent in charge in Denver about a year ago approached us, all of law enforcement in Sweetwater County, about moving the field office back to Sweetwater County. And instead of having one agent like they've had up in Jackson, we wanted to staff it with two. We talked about various options in the county of places they can have that temporarily. They looked at space offered at the sheriff's office in the Roxbury Police Department, but they decided that they would much rather be in our building because we actually have a little bit of space that's available that's fairly easy to convert. And we're hoping their agents will prefer to live in Green River as well. So we've pursued that and what it would take. There's some modifications going to have to happen to the two vacant rooms that they'd be moving into upstairs, and then a closet that's next to it to serve as a server room. We've got some quotes on what that will be. It should fall underneath their budget of $14,000. But as you'll look at this agreement, they would cover any costs that go above that. They just have to be aware of them ahead of time. And then they would also pay a little bit of rent to help cover the expenses for utilities and everything while they're with us. We expect them to be in the building for anywhere from 2 to 4 or 5 years. It depends on kind of federal budget as to when they would actually be able to build out their own space within town.
Excellent. Was the old office, Tom, was that in the Gateway building? Do you remember?
I think it was, but I don't remember. I was a young baby cop at the time.
I was a state OSHA inspector, and there was a door that said FBI, so I'm guessing that was the location at that time. Does anybody have any questions of the chief? Okay, with a motion.
Mayor?
Was that Jim?
Yes.
Go ahead, Jim.
I move to approve the MOA with the FBI Denver division and authorize the mayor and the city clerk to sign the agreement.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Zimmerman, seconded by Councilman Berg. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Again, it's unanimous. Item D, consideration of a memorandum of understanding with Southwest Counseling Services. Who's going to take this one?
This is me again. This is a very simple MOU. It has to do with the Prevention Coalition grant that Southwest Counseling is administering. That grant is to target prevention in a lot of different areas. One of those areas is underage drinking. To support that effort, they've bought some ID scanners that are new, more current than the ones that we've been able to loan out in the past. And they want to house them again with the police department so that anybody that gets a liquor permit for a special event can check these out and can check IDs to help prevent the underage drinking at the time. It really doesn't cost us anything other than a little bit of time to upload data that comes off of those machines. That's all the main personal information is taken off that before it's collected. So this is just, demographic data that's being collected in case anybody gets asked about that.
Okay, thanks, Chief. Any questions, Council? Okay, we'll entertain a motion.
Mayor.
Councilman Kilpack.
Shetron. I think Councilman Shetron was first.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding with Southwest Counseling Service and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement pending legal approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Shetron, seconded by Councilman Kilpack. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, it's unanimous again. Item E, consideration to apply for the Assistance to Firefighters Grant Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response Safer Grant.
Yeah, Mayor, Council, I'll give an update on this one, and then if needed for other questions, we can get Larry and Bill on that as well. But the AFG Safer Grant is one that we applied for last year. We are continuing to look for other grants where we might be able to help the fire department in other areas. This grant has to be for a new position. Last year, when we put in for it, we did not receive the grant. We weren't considered. So we've adjusted a little bit after learning some of the things that are needed. We have no idea if we will get the grant. This one would be specifically for working on the planning and fire plans and within the city, within all the buildings, both private and public. And if we get the grant, we have the ability to, they usually make the decision in the August, September timeframe. We heard last time right around the end of September. We also have 180 days to decide if we want to accept the grant. That puts us in the timeframe of March, April of next year. And we have talked with them and said, you know, if we are granted it, understanding that we may or may not be able to do it based on current situation, even at a 25% match from our side for the first couple of years. But they understand the situation if we are awarded. It's a very competitive grant, but if we are able to get it, those are the continuation of the grants that we're looking to do for the additional expansion of the fire department down the road and for trucks and stuff too. So.
Okay, thank you, Reed. Does Bill or Larry, do you have anything to add or? Okay, any questions from council?
I have one.
Oh, go ahead, Councilwoman Mays.
I have, so say we get the grant and we accept the position. How much does that add to the budget with benefits and everything for that position a year?
We would be responsible for 25%. So based on what we bring that person in for, say with fully benefited at the position level that we're looking for, would be about $35,000.
But after all that is done, because that's only good for what, 3 years?
Good for 2 and match in the third, and then we would take that one on.
So the full would be what?
The full loaded one at that time would roughly be around 140,000.
So we would be responsible for that.
Yeah, and that would be starting year 4, so 2025.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's been the goal based on getting additional training, and also for doing the amount of record keeping, the amount of pre-planning and inspections that we're having to do to meet the ISO standards. That's why we applied for it the last couple of times. We denied it in budget 1. They came back and asked for a grant. We had them going after the grant. We didn't get it. I don't know. I can't even recall what the percentage would be right now, especially with where the dollars, may be happening at a federal level in support of all the other things that are going on. So, but they are still working. So.
Okay. Well, hopefully, if we do get it and we do accept it, that, our budget, things get better and we start getting more money in, because that would possibly, cut other places too, adding new personnel. But I can see where they need it. And there's new regulations, I guess, for the fire department, right?
Yeah, in terms of meeting and training criteria and the amount of hours and that kind of thing. Yeah, there it is.
Right. Mayor, Council, this is Larry Erdman, Green River Fire Department. So it's supposed to be, you got 30 days after they award the grants to accept it. And then it's 180 days where the hiring portion, you got 180 days to hire into that position. If there is a economic hardship in the community, we could ask for a waiver, which won't hurt our future fundings of that kind, or for the AFG grant, or either one. So if things weren't to fall through because of an economic hardship in our area, then we could decline that grant through a waiver.
Okay.
Thanks, Larry. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor,
Councilman Murphy.
I move to authorize the submission of the grant application for the Assistance to Firefighter Staffing for Adequate Fire and Emergency Response Grant, AFG SAFER, from the Department of Homeland Security for a new staff position in the fire department.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Who was that?
Mike Shuttrin.
Okay, so it's been moved by Councilman Murphy, seconded by Councilman Shuttrin. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That's unanimous too. We'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor,
Councilman Shuttrin.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Shuttrin, seconded by Councilwoman Mays. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? That's unanimous. Okay, the reports. This is going pretty smoothly. There's something wrong here.
You just jinxed it. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do like your backdrop better, Mayor Rust. That's nice. Lisa, I'd like to welcome the second cat to screen. Very nice.
Sweetheart.
First of all, I just want to let you know that we've been communicating, been working alongside Rock Springs as well as the county. We did extend our adaptive work schedules through the hopefully it'll be opening around the 18th. We will have staff coming back next Monday, continuing to get stuff prepared. The rec center has been doing a really good job on getting all their stuff. I think definitely chomping at the bit to be able to do it. We're just going to kind of hang on, and as we know that there is going to be some different orders that will be coming out the couple days before the 15th as well. So we appreciate everybody's patience in this time. We know that the Sweetwater County 311 has been working with some of the small businesses to just look at other different variances. Those things got sent to the state today. Hopefully they'll know what that will be in the next within the next couple of days. My guess is on Friday we'll have another round from the governor and slightly relaxing of some of the orders as well. But just kudos to the staff for all the work that they're doing, council for the support, and the citizens agreement for being able to understand what we have going on and what's happening here. So one other thing, I sent an email to all of you regarding the budget and workshop dates over the next couple of, through the 16th of June. Being able to have finance committee meetings and budget workshops. So start looking for information. I'll make sure that everyone outside of that email, that will be a lot more detailed where you guys can review, get back to the finance committee. And then by the time we do the workshop, hopefully we'll have a pretty good idea. We've have had continued discussions on where we're standing with the budget. As you know, on the sales tax dollars, we're up a little higher than we expected. Not to say that next month is going to be really would be better or worse. Most likely, I would say it's slightly down, but they are better than what we expected to have right on this first go around. So I feel comfortable with what we've been discussing and how we're moving forward with that. Lastly, I want to do a quick shout out to the fire department, police department, sheriffs, Castle Rock ambulance, and all the other people who they've continued to make everybody, people who are celebrating birthdays, no matter the age. It's been a really good goodwill and marketing piece, I believe. That's showing the support in this kind of time. And I think it helps make stuff go by a little bit smoother. So I just wanted to say thank you to all those for what they've done, and continue to. They will be ending fairly soon. You know, we got to get back to normal on that part of it as well. But we appreciate everything that they've done. And I do know it's getting close to spring because I noticed a lot of trees blooming today. So it's making me smile. That's all I have.
Thanks, Reed. Mr. City Attorney, Galen.
I have no report tonight, Your Honor, and I'm unmuted.
All right, good job. Thanks, Galen. Okay, let's see. We'll go left to right. Councilwoman Mays.
Oh, okay. Jeez, go first.
Please don't mind screen.
Well, I'm glad to see spring get here, and I'm glad that our numbers were up with the 6 penny. I know before this bug hit, you know, working our retail, we were roaring. We were just rocking it. And that thing hit, and just, it was like, oh my God. You know, so I'm hoping it comes back. You know, I'm hoping it, and I'm thinking it's going to. I was extremely disappointed that it was decided not to put that 6 penny on the ballot. And I know there were some mitigating things out there that people, well, it's the coronavirus. Well, we don't have time to advertise. I talked to a commissioner today, told him how disappointed I was. Told him I feel like it should have been the vote of the people. I think you put it on the ballot and you let the people decide. It's not for us to be, it almost makes me feel like some of these governors that, you know, the people don't have any say, and you don't allow them to say. You should, because that tax wouldn't even go in, you know, if they voted for it in November, it wouldn't even go into effect until April of 2021. That's how long you wait before you collect the tax, and our economy might be in a whole different picture by then. And so here we are waiting, and then they said, well, you could have a special election. Well, that costs a lot of money. And I think that just, I don't know, to me, it adds salt to the wound to the voters. Wow, we got to pay more money just to put on an election, you know, 6 penny we should have just put on the ballot. And I told him, I like you, but I'm going to say this because and the mayor knows, I've said it all along, put it on the ballot and let the voters decide. Shouldn't be us, oh, we shouldn't do this, you know, let them decide. But he also told me that there was a statute passed in our legislature this year that if the county decided not to put a bunch of stuff on for 6 penny, the cities were allowed to put their own projects on and advertise them and have that on the ballot. With the, you know, they would have to go and have the county put it on the ballot, but that the state made it viable for us to do that. And the only people that would vote on that would be Green River citizens. You know, Green River would be the ones that would vote on it, not Rock Springs, not, you know, anybody else in the county. So I would really like someone to check that out and see if that's true, because we had a few street projects that would be really nice to be able to get done and do some more for the citizens here. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. And just as a point of clarification, and I don't know, Reed can jump in on this one too, but I believe what was passed is that if there is an active 6 penny in place, cities can adopt their own projects and vote on their own projects individually, but only if there's a 6 penny in place.
Yeah,
but
with as an additional project set.
Correct.
Oh, didn't we just get done with some?
It doesn't matter.
We don't have a 6 penny active right now.
Have to have
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. We'll check on that, Lisa, and make sure that there isn't some misunderstanding that we have. But I had a joint appropriations meeting or revenue committee meeting, pardon me, in Pinedale, in which they discussed that. And I recall that's what the discussion was, but we'll check on it to make sure. And if there's another option available, we'll explore that. Okay. Councilman Kilpatrick.
I don't have much to say other than I've kind of watched the COVID-19 throughout the United States, and the state of Wyoming is actually, in my opinion, and they're leading the nation in the lowest number of cases of and lowest deaths. They're doing a great job, and it's a time when I'm grateful to live in the state of Wyoming, and especially in the town of Green River. And I want to thank Reed, his staff, and the citizens of our community for being as proactive as they are. And that's what's kept everything down. We're in a pretty safe place to live at this time. And so thanks to everyone. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Kilpack. Councilman Murphy.
The only thing I have is I'd like to thank the city for allowing the firefighters to do the birthday drives. We did have a thank you from the Sweetwater County Sheriff's Office saying what a good job we've been doing because of everybody we had involved with it. And as Reed said earlier, it will be ending Sunday, but until then, I think we got about 7 or 8 more to do until the cutoff date. And that's what we've got for right now, unless I get more phone calls. But I would like to thank the city for allowing us to do this.
All right, thank you, Tom. Nice going, Lisa. Councilman Zimmerman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to mimic what Gary said. I feel Wyoming's doing a great job, and I think this is the best time, again, for us to come out and say that we need to say "Buy American." With everything that's going on in the world, this global economy and everything. My father fought in World War II. He was in the Pacific Theater, and I was raised in my house that we bought American. We bought everything that we could. And there's times that there's no getting around it. But when there's times that you can do it, we need to buy American. So I just want to emphasize that, and thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Zimmerman. Well said. Let's see, Councilman Byrd.
Yes, Mayor. I've just got one thing. I had a constituent get a hold of me and ask me that he was very frustrated. What had happened was he had taken a load of old building materials up to the landfill, or he'd actually sent his son up to do it, and his son got charged the $75 fee for the dumping of that material. And so he'd asked me when we changed that. And I told him that I didn't believe that we had changed that we had discussed, Waste Management coming to us wanting to lower the amount from $1,800 down to $1,100, and that we had said no. And I basically told him that I believed that the $75 charge that he got charged for was a contractor fee. I was just wondering if Reed or Mark could clarify whether I was right or wrong in telling him that.
Councilman Berg, I would, without looking at the details of records, but most likely it would have been a contractor fee. They usually do it off of plates, but we do not know if has met his 1,800 pound limit already or not.
He said he had.
Did he use his son to have him the son put it on his poundage, whatever? But they do, they do it off the license plate. But that's something we can look into. But no, nothing has changed up there.
I didn't think so. Okay, I'll try to get a hold of you, Reed, and see if we can address that. I'll let you know who the person was.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Shuttrin.
I guess I'd just like to echo kind of the displeasure with the stuff that went on with the 6 penny, as Lisa stated earlier. And then also like to repeat a little bit of what Councilman Zimmerman said about buying American and being mindful that we need to take care of our own first. And then as we go forward and everything starts to open back up, I'd also like to remind everybody to be safe. And I guess in the words of the famous physicist Marie Curie, nothing in life is to be feared. It's only to be understood. And now is time to understand more and to fear less, and that we use common sense when we're getting back amongst one another, so we can kind of give the people that are a little more apprehensive, their space to do what they will. And I look forward to seeing everybody face to face so we can do these meetings the way we were before. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Chutchin. And in this case, this is my disadvantage for going last because everybody's already said everything that I was going to say. But I'm going to repeat some things. Kudos to the staff. They've done an excellent job, staff and Reed, in terms of planning for the reopening and doing it in a way in which we're really providing for safety and giving some thought to the whole process. I also want to give a shout out to all the emergency providers. I hear this all the time. We're on all kinds of different Zoom meetings on a daily basis. These folks that have taken on additional responsibilities in addition to what they do daily, and they really need to be acknowledged for it. And in addition to that, you know, so we've got our emergency responders, we've got our medical community, we've got people such as the Convalescent Center, Senior Housing, Castle Rock Medical, all of those organizations, Memorial Hospital, are doing an outstanding job. And it really is a testament to what some of you have already noted, that Wyoming has done an excellent job. I did see on the news yesterday, Wyoming is of the states that join us, Wyoming is the only state that is neutral in that we haven't gone up or we haven't gone down. We've stayed neutral, which is what some of the criteria for opening up. It's interesting that Nevada, Idaho, Montana, and South Dakota actually have all gone down in terms of the states adjoining us. And the ones that we would be most affected by in terms of their opening, which would be Utah and Colorado, they've gone up a little bit. So they're still going up. And that should be and the governor has mentioned this in terms of whatever plans that he implements, he needs to do it in conjunction with the states around us. And for us in Southwest Wyoming and in Southern Wyoming in general, we need to be very careful. I was down at Browns Park last weekend, and as we're driving towards Minnie's Gap, which many of you know, on 190 South, just above the dam, there was just a line of cars from Colorado coming in to a certain area of Wyoming where they could raft and do other things. And that's the kind of thing that's going to happen when you have one state open and one state's not. And we don't necessarily want a bunch of people from the states that aren't achieving, you know, a reduction or a neutral position coming into our state. So we need to be careful with that. And the only other thing I would say, and everybody has already said this, is as we open up, we need to remain vigilant and we need to continue to practice the things that have put us in the position of being in the good position that we're in. You know, I see lots of people wearing their face protection, lots of people maintaining their 6-foot distance, and lots of people trying to keep under the 10 people limit of people getting together. And it's going to be even more important as we open up to continue to maintain that. And the only way that that's going to happen is personal responsibility, because we can't make it happen as a city or as a staff. The people have to do it individually, and we need to be a good examples to all of them. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Chutchin.
I would like to make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Chutchin, seconded by Councilman Berg. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you, guys. We went very smooth.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody.
Good night.
See you soon.